Brown Sword Homestead. It is June 3rd. We are finally into the summer months, and I'm going to show you bits and pieces of our garden today for our 5th garden tour. Some things have been yanked out, some things are really going strong. So let's go look at the garden.
I should have grabbed a basket. Here. I'll be right back. You can stop it if you want to, and I'll have a couple of videos.
I don't really understand how I could have failed so epically at growing cucumbers for like 7 years, and then this year just comically succeed at growing them. We've been completely overwhelmed by cucumbers, and definitely by the end of summer I will have canned enough cucumbers to last us, or pickles rather, to last us for the entire year. I think, I don't know, we've been going through pickles really fast.
We'll get tired of them.
Probably a jar a day of pickles. These are so good. I found a recipe that is, it's like a happy middle ground between bread and butter and dill. They're salty and sweet, and we've been really digging them. We need to figure out how to get our kids to like pickles.
Ella does. But she only wants one at a time.
So here, I don't know if you can, here's a really giant cucumber that I'm letting get huge so that I can
pick it back up.
I'm letting it get really big so I can harvest seeds from it. So I've just been leaving that one there and coming out, and I think I pick at least 10 cucumbers a day, at least. That's pretty wild. Oh look, here's something new. This is an acorn squash, which is a winter squash. Winter squash actually do not grow in the winter. They are grown in the spring and summer, just like all other squashes and pumpkins. But we call it winter squash because when they cure, they have a very, very hard outer shell that will cause them to last all throughout the winter into the next growing season, which is why they're great for preserving and eating in the winter time. So that's why we call them winter squash. So our squash is coming to an end. Our regular zucchini and squash has started to come to an end. The disease and the worms and the pests have really taken over. So this bed is about to get pulled out, and our bed with the blue Hubbard squash and the patty pan squash, that was all pulled out. If you remember, but in the last garden tour, this was completely full with pumpkins and squash. And a few days ago, I ripped it out because it was so gross. It was covered in powdery mildew. And all the blue Hubbard squashes were absolutely massive, and I think they were that was as big as they were gonna get. They started to cure on the vine, so I cut them off and pulled everything out. I'm gonna put some more mulch here because this didn't get a second helping of mulch, and I'm going to plant a cover crop, probably red ripper peas, to just put some more nitrogen back into the soil and to let it heal a little bit after it had all that squash in it. I still have the huckleberry plant in there, and it did a great job of deterring some of the pests. Now, a squash that is not succumbing to disease, which I saw this happen last year as well, is the Zapalito del Tronco. When you cut it open, it looks like an avocado, and it has the texture of an avocado. There's so little moisture content in this particular squash that when you fry it, it makes for a perfect frying squash. Let's see if we can find one. Oh, here's one. So this is small. It's a small guy right now, which you can harvest it this small, and it's gonna be so tender. But I found one the other day. Oh, wait. One slipped by me long enough to get this big. So I harvested it a few days ago, and the seeds inside were amazing. There were so many seeds, so that was one I used for seeds because I love to harvest seeds. I've been selling them, sharing them, and then I use them in our garden. So these plants right here are second generation for this garden. So every year I'm going to keep planting the seeds that I harvest from my garden to create a seed that is really, really hardy for this specific zone. The last week I've been harvesting a bunch of calendula, and the more you harvest, the more it grows. And I'll be using it for tea and for just remedies. Calendula is a great herb for the body. It's anti-inflammatory, antibacterial. It smells and tastes really good. Oh. Something.
Is it a volunteer?
No. Something I did in the patches of zinnias where there was like not a lot, where I guess the seeds just didn't take, I planted squash plants. And so like in random places there's squash and melon plants growing out of the zinnias. I've gotten a couple of squash off this one. So here's this one. Oh, see, it's got wormholes in it, so we're definitely not gonna eat this, but I'll throw it over here for the ducks. Oh, let me show you something about the squash plant. So when I ripped all of the pumpkin and squash vines out, I dumped them over here on this side of our fence, and the ducks went to town. They ate a bunch of bugs that were in it. They ate a lot of the leaves. They had a great snack. So even the stuff you yank out doesn't have to go to waste. It's sad when you yank stuff out because you want to make it last for as long as possible. But when things get really gross, there's just no point. It's time to take it out, get it out of the garden, away from all the other plants, so we can keep everything else healthy. My Seminole pumpkins. There's probably 25, I think I've counted so far. And these are just getting going. These lasted till like, I think we had one last year that lasted till like October or something crazy. The okra bed is still as sad as ever. And we have a pretty wild aphid infestation. So these are aphids, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like you can just do this and like kill them, but like, yeah, this one's got it bad. I've just been neglecting this bed because I'm over it, and like there's so much harvest at the moment that I'm focusing a lot of my energy on harvesting squash and cucumbers and then canning them and preserving them. So at some point I will get to this bed. These are Kajari melons. We'll be eating them soon. I'm so ready to harvest this sugar baby watermelon, but it's not time yet. And I can tell it's not ready, but I want to eat a watermelon out of our garden. We've only eaten watermelon from our garden that we've been able to successfully grow, maybe once or twice. And it's just such a treat because it's so, so sweet. I hate getting a watery, not sweet watermelon from the store. When you cut open a watermelon and it is not what it should be, it is very disappointing. Don't know what's going on with the tomatoes. They're just stalled. They look good and they're healthy, but it might be because we probably should have pruned the buds to let them get bigger before we let those tomatoes grow, but we didn't. So.
Oh well.
The basil is like.
The ones down there are phenomenal.
Yeah. The basil is like amazing. I've harvested so much basil and you couldn't tell because it's explosive. These are like, look at it. Oh man. Just ripen already. There's a lot of, oh no. Oh gosh, man, I hate bugs. I just hate a bug.
What's in there?
I don't know. There's some sort of worm in there, I think. So the tomatoes up here are doing really great. They're just not turning red. Which normally, by now, we've got some blushing tomato. We have had a few blushing tomatoes on my Floridades, but it's taking longer than normal. And I've heard that from my friends who are also gardeners, that it's taking longer than normal. But we had like a kind of a cool front the last week. I mean, it is June in Florida, and it was 50 degrees
last week. Yeah.
And so that's pretty weird. So that might have something to do with it. So we're just being patient. I hope this isn't new. This is Daniel's favorite part of the garden. Papers.
So it's become a tradition for us. We've done different pepper varieties, and it's just kind of become a thing when, as a new variety is mature and ready to harvest, Megan will bring one inside, and she'll say like, "Hey, this is a so-and-so," and I'll go, "Okay," and I just bite into it, and it is what it is, and what happens is what happens. But anyway, so we had our first one of the year, first jalapeno that we were able to get, which was our first pepper that we've harvested, and so tradition is I just bite into it. And jalapenos range from like barely any I've had them barely anything to, you know, pretty significantly spicy. And this one, and then the ones some that we've had in the past have just been, even for a jalapeno, quite spicy, very hot. And so, and what happens with me, and I know I'm not the only one, but so really spicy stuff with me, if I take a bite, I will start hiccuping almost immediately, like before it's even out of my mouth. I'm hiccuping, and so if I start hiccuping right away, we know that it's very, very spicy.
It's hot.
And so that's what happened this year with our first jalapeno.
Last night, my friend came over for dinner and she brought her kids, and her teenage son wanted to eat an ahi mango. Now they're not ready because they need to be yellow, but he went for it, and he was like, "It's fine, it's fine." And then he, like, his face turned around. He's like, "It's hot, it's hot." We had to go get him some milk, but so that's a good sign for these. I'm very excited about these. We've never grown ahi mangoes. If I am willing to eat hot peppers, if they're sweet. If they're not sweet, I don't really get it. I don't really like jalapenos because they're not sweet. They're just spicy. So I don't understand why they're enjoyable. But like we've got Sugar Rush Peach that we're growing here. And those are supposed to be extremely sweet while also very hot. We've got some habaneros, scorpion peppers. We've got a little bit of everything in this hot pepper bed. Oh, we've got anchos over there, which some of them are growing. You can see them over there. And then is this, I think this is shishito. We got a little one right here.
Oh yeah, we had those last year.
Yeah, we had those. I don't remember. What did you think about those?
The shishito, they were okay. They kind of had a weird texture. That was the thing about those that was kind of strange.
Our eggplants look beautiful.
Too bad we didn't put more of them. Gosh.
Well, we don't really like eggplants.
Well, that's true.
What is this tomato doing? Okay, so we have a pumpkin plant here from seeds that I took out of what I'm calling a lumpy pumpkin, and it was green, that I bought at a store.
A lumpkin.
A lumpkin. Now, every pumpkin it grows on its vine is different, which means this pumpkin is like a hybrid of all kinds of things. So we've got this one right here.
It's almost like a watermelon.
Yeah, and then this one. And then, look at this. And then there's one over here. That is like, oh no, it's getting a little, I might need to, but it's really flat. Like, oh yeah, it's getting, oh no, I'm sad. That one's getting eaten up. I'll just get the seeds out of it then. So yeah, this is an interesting pumpkin we got going. I think that's really
look.
neat.
There's like a, is that a different plant?
Yeah, that's a different
okay.
plant. That's the orange one that grew out in the pasture last year.
Oh yeah.
Oh, this is what I wanted to show people. So so in this particular pumpkin patch, I forgot that I had planted green beans. And whoopsie doozy. They're huge. So I'm gonna use these. This whole bed is full of these. I'm gonna let these continue to grow and turn brown, and then I'm going to harvest these for seeds, not for eating. And then I won't have to buy the seeds next year. One of the reasons why I like to plant purple bush beans instead of green bush beans is because I can see the purple. I can't see the green beans very well because they blend in with everything else. And all of my green bean bush beans, I've let grow like a little too much. And so like last night we had some for dinner and they were a little bit too chewy, which is why you want to harvest them small. But I genuinely just couldn't see them, which is interesting. So I tend to grow purple potted beans because I can see them very easily. Ooh, look at those.
Is that Seminole?
Look at all these Seminoles. They're huge.
Move this like line of, because they're kind of in a line.
Oh, step on the plant.
2, and then there's one right under you.
Yeah. They're everywhere. I mean, here's a silver slicer cucumber that I'm letting get really, really big. They're definitely a smaller cucumber. I harvest them when they're like this big. And I'm letting that get big so I can harvest the seeds. Here's an example. Like, I don't like to eat it past this size. This is even a little bit too big. They're very tender and sweet when they're, let's see if I can find another one. I don't see any. This is actually a little bit better than this one, which, it's got worms in it. That's the thing, the last week, I mean, it's really only been like the last 5 days. When I come out to harvest stuff, there's worms in everything. So I'm having to throw a lot to the animals, which is okay because we have had so much food. We have given it away, we have sold it, and I've canned a lot. So it is okay. And it doesn't go to waste. We give it to our animals. The ducks will get it. Last time, the only cucumber I've ever really been able to grow is the lemon cucumber. It's not growing at all. Like, the plant itself is growing, but I'm not getting any cucumbers off of it. I don't know why. It's like everything is backwards this year. How, what would you say? 10 feet? I would say 10 feet. Between 9 and 10.
Yeah, that one's getting there to 10. Yeah, about 9 to 10.
These are the tallest sunflowers we've ever grown, and they are blooming and beautiful. Would anyone like to tell me what is happening to my rosemary? It's like this goo, and it smells
Hang on. What the?
It smells like rosemary pulp or oil or whatever you want to call it. But why is it coming out? It's the same thing is happening to my peppermint.
Weird.
Oh, look. Here it is. Maybe I shouldn't have touched it. I'll go wash my hands. That's the toothache plant, and it's happening there too. What is that?
Is that coming out of the plant, or is it getting put on the plant?
What would be putting that on?
I have no idea.
So strange. Thank you so much for coming on the garden tour with me today. Next time, we will probably be harvesting tomatoes, sowing some zipper peas and ripper peas and cow peas, all the peas. Hopefully we'll get some okra going. There's not a ton that loves to be sown and grow in the summer, but the tomatoes is what I'm really anticipating. See you guys next time.